TV rolls on, and it's time for our recruiting update. And with that, we welcome in, as usual, David McNabb, VYPE recruiting expert, author of the weekly McNabb Report. And he was out there watching all that high school football last week. What a weekend it was, and is again this week.
Oh, I know. It was a great game. And I told somebody this week I went to go watch Argyle play, and I actually put a left tackle named Trey Keenan in the story. And I said, whenever you see me put a left tackle in a story, this kid's going to be pretty good. Because Luke Jokel, I think, is the only other guy that I've put. So Trey Keenan's a big junior left tackle, so he's another name to throw out there.
Of course, that Jokel kid is starting at left tackle throughout his true freshman season at Texas A&M. Let's get started here talking about the big commitment of this week, as Anthony Wallace from Skyline has decided to go play at the University of Oregon. And it brings us to this question we posed to David McNabb about guys in Texas who go out of state and across the country sometimes and commit to schools. What's up with it?
Well, you know, it's kind of ebbed and flowed over the year. TV, of course, had a huge role of it in the 80s when guys from Texas started seeing, particularly the Florida schools, Miami, Florida State, were among the first to really start coming to Texas. And it's really interesting that all of a sudden Oregon, with no real particular ties, but LaMichael James, who's their Heisman Trophy running back, is from Liberty Island in Texarkana. Their quarterback, Deron Thomas, is from Aldine High School. And now they got Anthony Wallace, and he's a kid who definitely was looking around the country. Texas offered him early. There's several Skyline kids at Oklahoma, but he was definitely looking at Ohio State, USC, Oregon. So it's not that big a surprise that he went, but he's a big get for him.
Yeah, and sometimes I wonder if it's the Oregon uniforms that lure.
The Oregon uniforms, everybody
knows. That may be the thing that puts it over the top. They love those Oregon uniforms.
I think the visit to the Nike store in downtown, is definitely a recruiting lure of going to Oregon.
All right, a couple of Coppell kids we want to talk about. Bennett Okacha, who is headed to Big Ten country.
Bennett's a kid who his brother actually was a pretty big star at Coppell, and Bennett was really small. I mean, barely weighed 150, barely 5'7", and he was on a lot of the second teams, and then at the end of his sophomore year, he grew 2 or 3 inches, worked really, really hard, did well at a couple combines, and he's the kind of a kid, I think he was just looking for a scholarship, and then all of a sudden, a big school like Wisconsin goes, we'll offer you right now. We like you. And I think within recruiting, that first school that tell you that they love you, that we're a top 25 school, and Bennett's, been headed to them, although I think some other schools have tried to get back, and he stayed pretty loyal to them.
Quickly on Cam McDaniel, and here's a kid that reminds me a lot of Rex Burkhead, who went out of state to Nebraska. What about Cam now?
And Cam may be a lot like Rex, and because the Rex saga was Texas going to offer him, were they not? And, Cam McDaniel's got a deep Texas history, and I think he would have been very interested in Texas. They didn't offer him, and then like Rex Burkhead, he kept doing so well, Rex did during the state playoffs, and he had this one particular punt return for a touchdown against Skylines. Texas finally ended up offering him, but they waited so late. Rex had already committed to Nebraska. Now Cam is in the same spot. His stock continues to rise as he does well in the playoffs. And I've written on VYPE the last couple weeks. Notre Dame's gotten really big in the picture, and there may be something happening soon on that.
Nathan Broussard, the linebacker from Plano West. Rob Hankins from Parish Episcopal. 2 childhood friends. Look like they're both going out of state, different places.
Yeah, there are a couple Plano kids, and Rob Hankins goes to the Parish Episcopal. He likes Arizona. I think he likes the change of scenery. There's a certain sex appeal to the Pac-10. Just the whole West. Even if you're not on the West Coast, Nathan Broussard, again, he's a kid that a lot of schools from around here, but Cal's education, that's a whole different scenario. When you take a visit to a game out there, it's just as big as it is in Texas. I know people have a hard time believing that, Cal has this great game day atmosphere, but it does, and it's a terrific academic school.
All right, David McNabb's going to stick around. We're going to talk Landry Award in a moment. I want to get into Nebraska recruiting next week here on VYPE TV. Landry Award finalists, though, have been announced. The best high school football players in North Texas when VYPE TV continues in 2 minutes. It's time now for this week's Landry Award update presented by GMC. As we've been telling you all season, the Landry Award has been created for two reasons: to recognize the best high school football player in North Texas and to honor former Cowboys coach Tom Landry. This week, over 100 nominations were whittled down to 5 finalists. Those finalists were announced back on Monday night by TXA 21's Gina Miller. Here they are in alphabetical order: Jay Ajayi, the running back from Frisco Liberty; Jonathan Gray, the junior running back from Aledo; Cam McDaniel, Coppell running back; Paul Millard, the quarterback from Flower Mound High School; and J.W. Walsh, the quarterback from Denton Guyer. And here is what they are vying for. It is the Landry Award, and yes, we just happen to have the award itself right here in studio, as one of the schools represented there from those 5 athletes will be honored on December 9th at the banquet. The ceremony coming up in just a few weeks, and they will receive, to be placed in their trophy case, the Landry Award. And David McNabb and Tim Poles are here to talk about what a great looking award right here.
That's a cool looking statue thing. I mean, I think that's going to really mean a lot to the schools and players when they get it.
Once we teach these teenagers who Tom Landry is.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Jay Ajayi first from Frisco Liberty.
You know, I first saw him last year in a playoff game with Frisco Wakeland, and Liberty was a pretty new school. In fact, Joe McBride, the coach at Coppell, kind of started that program, and he was one of those kids that just, who's that? You know, just immediately jumped out with his burst of speed. Signed with Boise State, has really made a name for himself at Frisco Liberty, and he's your classic Boise State. It's not Jay, you know, going there or in Alabama or Oklahoma or Texas. It's Wyoming and Tulsa are the other schools, but he certainly has shown that he's one of the best players in the state. And
we should point out these are the regular season stats we're showing on your screen there for these student athletes. Jonathan Gray from Aledo, and you talk about he's a junior, and so the 2012 recruiting class, he's at the top of the list, probably in the nation.
He is. It's amazing to have a junior in that out of the 5 finalists. And Jonathan was one of our all-VYPE MVPs last year with just amazing numbers. You know, helped lead Aledo to the state title, but he's also quite the leader on the field already and shows a lot of maturity as a junior. All
right, another running back on the list, of course, Cam McDaniel from Coppell High School, putting up combined rushing and receiving numbers that are through the roof, as you see them on your screen right there. Nearly 2,000 yards rushing and receiving in the regular season. And David, how about Paul Millard, the quarterback from Flower Mound?
You know, and he's your classic case of, you know, he's in one of those offenses that get unbelievable numbers, but it's not all just the system. And he actually has been in a situation where he's had to kind of fight for his job every year because there's several kids in Flower Mound who are good passers, good throwers, and his consistency, his accuracy, you know, the percentage of passes that he completes. And, you know, defensive coaches will tell you, well, give me 3 games and then we'll start taking away what he likes to do. So he's had to make a lot of adjustments to make the throws that other opponents say, okay, he doesn't do these well, but he's made those throws as well.
And J.W. Walsh, we talked about him earlier in the show, the quarterback from Denton Guyer, though that dual threat quarterback, rushing and receiving. As you see his numbers, nearly 3,000 yards combined, 34 touchdowns and just 1 interception in the Guyer regular season. David McNabb, Tim Poser, we appreciate it as usual here on VYPE TV. The Landry Award presentation event will be Thursday, December 9th, and we'll know who was chosen as the best football player in North Texas. And you can watch it on TXA 21 starting at 9 p.m. But you can also be there and witness this new tradition firsthand. Tickets are on sale now, and proceeds go to FCA Dallas programs. Just go to LandryAward.com for all the details. Thanks for joining us this morning. We'll be back next week at 10:30 in the morning to bring you the best stories in North Texas high school sports. We leave you this week with video of the Landry Trophy being created. Have a great day.